Paganism and Christendom. They should be oxymoronic, but they are not. They are synonymous, sadly. And I'm talking about neo-Christendom, modern Christendom, modern Christianity is paganistic. Paganism and Christendom. Let's go over the objective for this week as well as the learning outcome. I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm not castigating anybody. I'm just simply giving you a historical report on something that is very much known in Neo-Christendom. We're going to talk about it. Here we go. Objective. The objective of this article is to understand paganism and how its worldly elements were introduced into biblical Christianity, thereby changing Christianity's divine construct from apostolic to paganistic. And I know that this is uncomfortable because we have been taught that Neo-Christendom is pure, is unadulterated, it's the gospel, it's God's word, and I'm going to challenge that thesis in this lesson, brothers and sisters. Upon completion of this study, you will understand why modern Christianity is not biblical Christianity. I'm not saying that people who are practicing modern Christianity are bad people or are going to go to hell. I'm not saying that. I'm just simply reporting the facts with regards to the denomination and theology that the world calls Christianity or vessels of Christendom. I'm pushing back on that respectfully. 2, understand why the church fathers, or what we refer to as the patristics, and their progeny, their descendants, the evangelicals, incorporated pagan elements and ideals into biblical Christianity. Here's a reality. A great lie has some truth in it. This is what makes it believable. But if the truth, or a truth, supposedly, has a modicum of deceit or lies in it, it makes the truth, supposedly as a whole, a lie. And this is what we're going to be talking about and studying this week, brothers and sisters. Understand why the church fathers and their descendants, their progeny, the evangelicals of today, incorporated pagan elements and ideals into biblical Christianity. Understand why many Christians are no longer attending church or remaining a Christian. Why are so many neo-Christians leaving the church today? We have an answer to that question. 4, understand the true origin of modern Christianity's holidays: Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Halloween, Thanksgiving. We're going to look at that. 5, understand what true Christianity and worship looks like from a biblical perspective. That's very important. This is going to be a nice study for you this week. We're not attacking anybody, so please don't feel like you are being attacked if you're still attending church. The objective for Sinaitic Light, the objective for New Covenant Congregation of Israel Tabernacle Elohim, or NCCI Universum's ministry, our apologetic school, is to just simply present empirical facts that you can test yourself, and you make an informed decision of how you're going to worship and serve the Creator, how you're going to demonstrate to Him that you are grateful for the blessings that He has bestowed upon you. And if you are willing and desiring to fully embrace His proclamation for monotheistic worship, to worship God and God alone, that's a question that you're going to have to ask yourself, brothers and sisters. And you have to be humble and you have to be honest. I'll see you next week. Enjoy this lesson. May the blessings of Yah be with you. Shalom.
So we are going to go ahead and get started this evening. I know everybody's probably ready for maybe hopefully a day off tomorrow, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, have you all ever considered, and just again, just to double check, everybody is seeing my screen, correct?
Yes.
Has anything popped up on your screen as of yet? Yes?
Yes.
All right, just making sure. Last week was a little tricky for me, so I'm just making sure. All right. So have you ever considered where some of the things that we practice today comes from? Spoiler alert, it comes from paganism.
Yes.
Somebody have their hand up?
I did. I just wanted to say last week I was already had my quiz questions answered, ready to, and I got so busy into, I was doing my spring cleaning and getting my house together for Pesach and matzah,
Mm-hmm.
and worked through the class all week. I'm gonna get to class. I can't wait to class. I can't wait to class.
We did miss you, Miss Margaret. We
Oh my
did.
goodness. I was so sad. I did try to get on, but it was too late. It was
Don't
like
worry.
9 o'clock.
It
Yeah.
is recorded, and I promise you, you were missed. And if I didn't hear from you tonight, you were going to hear from me. I promise you that much.
I know it. I wasn't gonna miss it. I did my homework though. I had
Okay.
got all
Well,
my quiz.
I know you did. You always do. You one of our star pupils. So, but we did miss you, and we're glad that you were able to make it tonight.
All right, thank you.
All
Glad to
right.
be
But
here.
thank you for letting us know. It's always good to know.
You're welcome.
All right. So our journey for today, Miss Margaret, is we're gonna just kind of do a roadmap. We're gonna see, we're gonna walk through some of the potentially challenge, what I would consider as potentially challenging territory. Okay, because what we're really going to talk about today, we're going to understand paganism and how its worldly elements were introduced into quote unquote biblical Christianity, really just changing the divine construct from what we know to have been apostolic to realistically be paganistic. Okay, so we're going to be exploring how modern Christianity differs from what the earliest followers practiced. We're really going to take a look at why the church fathers and the evangelicals, their progenies, incorporated elements of paganism into biblical Christianity, why many Christians are no longer attending church or really even wanting to be called Christians anymore. What are the true origins of the holidays, not holy days, but the holidays that are celebrated within Christianity? What true Christianity and worship looks like from a biblical perspective. And so we got our first thought bubble for the night. Brother Daniel, can you read that for me?
Absolutely. It says a Christian must investigate or at least be open to entertaining the genesis of their Christian faith to identify its foundational components. That's from Dr. Abram Herbert Lewis.
Okay, so that's again, this is we're gonna have a few of these tonight, just moments to just sit back and think through some of the things that we learned in this class this week. And really, again, just to kind of reiterate what Dr. Lewis is saying here, we have to investigate, right? We talk about the Bereans. You'll hear us talk about the Bereans a lot in class. The Bereans, they did a thorough investigation before they decided to move forward with any new doctrines that were given to them. We have to see what is the genesis, what is the origin, what's the beginning of the faith that is being practiced in anything that we associate ourselves with. So, thumbs up to Dr. Abram and what he has to say here, because it gives us a lot to think about and a lot to consider. So, Christianity in numbers. So, this is one of the things that we've looked at here. And these are some pretty impressive statistics when we start to talk about the fact that 31% of the world's population, that's something like 2.3 billion people. Literally, a third of all human beings on this earth identify as being Christian. Okay. So, what we're seeing here is that if you kind of had to picture what that looks like, that's a pretty good smattering of everything that we're seeing in terms of the world map, and they identify currently as Christians. However, one of the things that we also see here, and if we look at the beige chart down here, this is 2023, right? And we see in the red bar that by 2050, we're expecting that Christianity will grow to about 2.9 billion. So that's a big jump, right? However, sneaky little Islam is growing even faster than that, almost doubling in that same time frame. So this really raises a question for us to start again thinking about: what is it that is attracting people to certain faiths, number one, but also two, why are people seeking alternatives to Christianity? So again, Islam being right now the fastest growing religion on the earth. Something to think about. So what that tells us is that we're seeing a shift in the spiritual landscape. So approximately 66 million Christians, 66 million Christians, 66 million Christians will leave Christianity to embrace other theologies. This is what the Pew Research referred to as religious switching. Anybody here kind of been through any different religions that they might like to share with us really quick? No? Sister Margaret, I know you wouldn't leave me hanging.
Well, remember my mother, she was I was in Christianity for 30 years, really. But my father was he was a Muslim. He was in Islam. He belonged to the Nation of Islam. So I had both of those teachings. My mother was a Christian Baptist church. And then she went into, because my mother was seeking the Most High. She went into the Buddhist stuff, that the yum 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 yum.
Miss Margaret.
Some of my nieces, they know it by heart because they were around her. And then she studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. She didn't like that, and then she ended up still in Christianity in the Baptist church and going on from there. But I had both of those teachings, but for some reason I always was into Yahushua, Jesus. I was into, and I believed that. We serve a higher power that would be his plan of salvation for someone that he would send his son to die for us. And, I wasn't really focused on, it hadn't really set in my mind and in my heart that he died for our sins, for the forgiveness of our sins. But, being taught in Christianity, he died to do away with the laws.
Right. He died so you can just keep on sinning. That's what they teach.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't, and obviously that doesn't make any sense to us, especially when we start reading a book. But thank you. Yeah. So what you just shared with us about your mom and even the experience with your entire household, this is what we are seeing and understanding as religious switching, when people are just jumping around because, and I'll just read it as it is listed here, because many astute Christians have come to realize that modern Christianity, Neo Christianity, is adverse to the cultural tenets and beliefs of the Jewish faith that we observed in the anointed and his apostles. So people are realizing that something is wrong here. That is what is happening. People are realizing, they're seeing, they're feeling something is wrong, and they're like, I got to get away from this. So this is what is causing this landscape to shift. So now we see people are going into things. You mentioned Jehovah's Witnesses. Why? Because they reject pagan holidays. Seventh Day Baptists, because they worship on the seventh day. We've got Seventh Day Adventists who also claim to keep the Shabbat, on Saturday. So we have this break now from modern Christianity kind of splintering off into some of these other religions that are considered a reformation, right? They're supposed to be reformed. They're supposed to be, quote unquote, reclaiming the Christianity of the first century. However, each of these alternative neo-Christian sects, they still maintain pagan and unbiblical practices. So what have we been reformed to? Sin? So this is what our good friend, the late professor of church history of theology, Dr. Abram Herbert Lewis, referred to as a pagan residuum. And so I was trying to come up with a good example for you all. And so I thought about, like, when you put your dishes in the dishwasher and they come out, and they've gone through the entire cycle, and they've gone through rinse, repeat, and everything in between, and they're supposedly clean, but they have that film on it, like that gray haze. I can't stand that gray haze. And by the way, if you just put some vinegar in there, it'll take right away. But this is what we're talking about. That gray haze on your dishes. This is that residual paganism that permeates throughout all Christianity. They are telling you that it is clean, but somehow it's just not quite right. So again, this pagan residuum, this residue, is something that people are just, when they understand it, when they're hearing it, when they're feeling it, they're like, okay, something isn't right here. Something is not clean in this milk, as one of my sisters would say. So yeah, Professor Lewis, he dropped a truth bomb on us. He said even in the 1800s, scholars recognized that the pagan residuum in Christian practices. His quote essentially captures the resistance many of us feel when we're confronting that uncomfortable historical fact. Again, it's a rude awakening to ask people to believe that there is this residue, this film, this gray haze on their faith, especially when it got passed down by my mother, by my grandmama, by my great grandmama, because this is what everybody else before us did. So really, in order to be true faith believers, in order to really take this walk, we have to go through a broadening process, right? We have to see past mama and big mama and everybody else, and go back to what the apostles and Yeshua taught, in order to have a true, authentic, genuine faith walk. This is what true Christian believers know as the immortality of truth, and in certainty of its triumph, we welcome all facts, even though they may modify the creed that we have accepted. Meaning that if we broaden our minds, accept that this is something that is greater than us, because again, truth is not something that dies. We will get the facts that we need in order to move forward, regardless of any creeds that have been passed down to us through the generation. Make sense? Can I get a thumbs up? There's two. Okay.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. All right, so let's get into the heart of the matter. Neo-Christendom presents a different Christianity than what the anointed taught in the first century. Period. So, regardless of the denomination, when we start to peel back the layers, right? So if we start here with modern Christianity and we pull back modern Christianity, what do we find? We find the creeds and the canons in the 4th and 5th century. This is how we get to where we are today, because we're going to change things, and we're going to have meetings, and we're going to come up with different creeds, and this is how we're going to decide as human beings, as men. We're going to come up with our own philosophies and ideologies, and we're going to ratify them with canons and creeds, right? So if we peel back today, we find creeds and canons. When we peel back those creeds and canons, we find the patristics. Again, that's the 2nd and 3rd century. To get back to now where things start to get clean, when we start to get that residue off, we got to go back to apostolic Christianity. And even further back behind that, what do we find? We find the Torah. That is our biblical foundation. Make sense? All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about what is paganism. The term pagan is of Latin origin, deriving from the Latin word pagus, meaning villager or country dweller. Okay? Rome was initially a polytheistic community worshiping a pantheon of gods. A pantheon. I just like saying that. A pantheon of gods. So could you imagine, like, you have a god for everything? Now, just a little bit of backstory. I came out of Catholicism. And if you lost your wallet, you would pray to the patron saint of finding lost things. If you were in distress or depressed, there was a patron saint for that. There was literally a patron saint for any and everything that you could possibly be going through at any given point. Wonder where they got that from. So when we look at the etymology of the word pagan, we see again here that it started with this country, what they would have called a country bumpkin, these villagers, these rustic people. Then, as far as Christianity became concerned, they started calling these people pagans. And this became, in terms of the late Middle English, what the actual meaning of the word pagan was. However, now moving towards the 2nd and 4th century, we see what happens. Rome is trying to convert people under the auspice of the patristics. They're getting resistance from the villagers, because the villagers are saying, that's not what mamas gave me. That's not what Big Mama gave me. So we don't want no parts of it. We done had this for thousands of years. We don't want nothing to do with your Christ. So we see this is the country that they were talking so bad about. We see here in Rome, you see how they have their gods and statues, and this is what the pantheons and things look like. They would have had their churches in the background and everything. This is what they were dealing with at that time. So let's talk a little bit about paganism through the centuries. We understand that the initial meaning of the word pagan started with country dwellers, right? People who they had a religion, they had their own deities that had been passed down for generations that they were comfortable with. But Down the road, what do we see? We see this word morph. We see this word change. We see this terminology change across time. And now we have a shift from now being a geographical designation to now a religious one. Okay? So the term pagan now denotes anyone who practices faith outside the confines of the three main religions, right? So this here is supposed to be a representation of Judaism. Of course, this is supposed to be a representation of Christianity, and this is supposed to be a representation of Islam. Okay? That's what's considered normal. That's what's considered non-cultish, as we would say. Everything else that we see here on the Outer Banks, right? We see that Ankh, which represents, like, I think, like the admonitions of Mott. I think we have the what is this? Oh, I can't think of what they're called now.
Is that masonry?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, we have the Eye of Anubis in here, all these different faiths, right? If you fall into any of these, now you're considered a pagan. But as long as you're considered inside of here, and this is based on modern terminology, you're considered to not be a pagan. However, organically, to realistically not be considered a pagan, you have to practice the religion that comes from the Bible. Anything adverse to the teachings of the Bible is pagan, right? So I really should have just made one other little circle here just around the Bible to give you a true representation. I'll think of that next time. Sorry. Making sense so far? Okay, I see my thumbs. I love it. All right. Christianity as the anointed taught it. Christianity as Christ taught it. All right. So now we're getting back to the basics. We're getting back to what's genuinely organic, right? The theology taught by the anointed and the apostles, which comes from the Old Testament. This is what we refer to as Christianity, and this is also what we refer to as primitive Christianity. So if you're calling it this, go ahead and call yourself a scholar. I give you permission. You can tell everybody I'm a scholar. Miss Morieyah said so. Christ and the apostles observed and taught the commandments of Yah. Remember, Yahshua said, "Take up my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." That is Matthew 11:29. So after the anointed's ascension, the apostles continued to teach the same doctrine. The apostles continued to teach the same doctrine. The apostles continued to teach the same doctrine that they taught prior to his ascension. That means that the apostles observed the law, right? And so here we see yoke. Yoke is synonymous with what? Can someone tell me?
Teaching.
There you go. Barakia, you can jump in there too, hon. Barakia, you can jump in too. Just unmute yourself.
Okay, doctrine or theology?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So what I wanted to give you all in this visual here, so we see the two oxen here, right? And you see this wooden contraption that is upon their neck. This is yoke, right? This is how you guide them along, right? This is how they do the work for their master. So when Yeshua is saying, "Take upon my yoke," visually, this is what you see. So when he's telling us that his yoke is easy and his burden is light, like, can you imagine what this actually feels like to have this upon your shoulders? But Yeshua is saying, look, all of the different doctrines, all of the different teachings of the Pharisees and the Essenes, right? They're teaching you to do things that makes it harder. It makes this yoke heavier. So you see here this light wooden yoke. Imagine this yoke is now made of lead. because they're telling you that you have to say a special prayer before you wash your hands, that you can't tie a knot on the Shabbat day. I think the Essings were the ones who said that you can't use the bathroom on the Shabbat day. Like, what in the world? Could you imagine having to go a whole day and not being able to use the bathroom? These were the teaching, these were the burdens that were being placed upon the people. These were the teachings of men. They were more concerned with these things than actually teaching Torah. And so Yeshua comes in and he was like, "Oh no, cut this. We're not doing this. This is not it." Right? After all of your wrong teachings, after all of the things that you were telling people to do that has now become a burden to them, we're going to throw all of that away. We're going to take on the teachings of the Torah. Everything that you guys are talking about, we're going to throw that out the window. And we're now going to take this on because this is light and it is not a burden. Right? The anointed also quotes Isaiah 29:13, and he says, because their worship is a farce, for they teach man-made ideas as commands from Elohim. You're not going to find anywhere in this Torah where Elohim says that you cannot use the bathroom on the Shabbat day. Not one place. All right, so let's see what starts to happen now when we start to break from our Jewish roots. So now we're in the 2nd century. We're about 100, 200 years after the anointed. So now we have an evolution taking place, right? Dr. F.F. Bruce is telling us that that Jerusalem was now refounded. So we got a whole new Jerusalem now being founded again, being founded anew. This is 135 years after the death of the of Yeshua. We have Jerusalem now being founded as a Gentile city. All right. So now we have no continuity with the original church of Jerusalem and in the apostolic days. So this new church is no longer under Jewish leadership. And because of the removal of Jews and the severing of the church's link to the Jewish populace, the leaders that are now emerging after the death of the apostles, again, are all Gentiles. They have their own leadership. We now have the quote unquote church fathers, the patristics. And these patristics now begin viewing Yeshua as God. So now we're worshiping the created. We're moving from worshiping the creator in our new city that we have founded, that's different from the teachings of Yeshua, that's separating ourselves. We are now separating ourselves from the teaching of the Jewish populace. We are creating a whole new populace. And we're going to make for ourselves now a whole new God, and we're going to worship him. Brother Daniel, can you read that last line for me?
Absolutely. The patristics' assertion that the Messiah is Elohim, that he is God, in the same sense of the Father Yah, is a violation of the law and is an unbiblical doctrine.
Say that word again in the bright yellow. I like the way you said it.
Violation.
See, that's the new way. That's how we saying it from now on. It's a violation. That's crazy. So now instead we are calling the created God. And it is unbiblical to do so. I will also tell you that Yeshua never said to do that. Never. You would not, I challenge you to find me one verse where he tells you, I am God and worship me as such. So now the patristics have replaced worship on the Sabbath. So now we have a new God, right? And in order to have a new God, we have to have a new Sabbath. All right, so now we're going to move the Sabbath, and we had a class on this a couple of weeks ago. We're going to move Sabbath worship to the seventh day of from the seventh day of the week, and we're now going to replace it with worshiping on the first day of the week. So we like to have biblical continuity. We like to have continuity when it comes to what we learn from scriptures, right? And apparently they do too. So if we're saying that we have a new God, well, then our God has to have his own day of worship. Okay. And we're going to come together and we're going to have a council in Nicaea, and we're going to ordain him God. Now, Yah ordained the seventh day of the week as the Sabbath day, not man. But look at what they say. Early Christians regularly compared their Sunday with the Jewish Sabbath and considered Sunday to be superior.
Mm.
That's hurtful.
Yes.
So our Elohim says, this is the day that I want you to worship. And then man comes along and says, but we think that this day is better. And then we have Justin Martyr. But Sunday is the day on which we all hold our common assembly, because it is the first day on which God, having wrought a change in the darkness and matter, made the world. Okay, but he didn't tell you to worship on that day. He didn't tell you to change anything on that day. If you are so impressed by our holy and gracious Father Yah and what he did, why not be more concerned with what he ordained?
Right.
So now our new God, Jesus Christ, our Savior, on that same day rose from the dead. Therefore, hey, that gives us the authority to now change Yah's day. Chas v'shalom. So now what we see here, my friends, is a cultural shift. The gospel that was taught and practiced by the anointed and the apostles reflected worship on the seventh day of the week as commanded in the Old Testament, in the Torah. Nowhere in scripture does Yah command a change or give anyone permission to change the day he wants us to worship. Nowhere. So our friend Dr. Donald A. Carson, he tells us there is no hint anywhere in the ministry of Yeshua that the first day of the week is to take on the character of the Shabbat and replace it. Sunday worship is a man-made ordinance. It is a patristical ordinance. It is not theocratic at all. Ooh, I got another thought bubble here. Brother Daniel, can you help us out?
Absolutely. Worship on the Sabbath is a sign between Yah and his children. That's, you can see that in Exodus 20, 8 through 11, 31, 12 through 17, and Isaiah 56, 1 through 8.
Can I get somebody to help me out with what that means? Sister Jerry.
Hello, yes.
Hello.
Shalom. Shalom,
Hello.
shalom.
Don't worry, as this is not a
I'm hoping I don't lose you all. My signal thing keeps coming up saying you're losing your signal.
Oh no. Well, yeah, we'll take you as long as we can get you. We'll take you as long as
Okay.
So
sounds great.
Here's my question for you.
Okay.
Who has the authority to change divine commandments?
To change the what?
Divine commandments.
Who has the authority? Yah.
And who else?
And yeah.
Okay, look, I'll take that. I'll take that. No
Right.
one else. You are absolutely right. Yah and Yah, and then maybe Yah, and then after that Yah, and possibly after that Yah. But other than that, I can't think of anybody besides Yah. You are absolutely
Right.
right, Sister Cherry. Absolutely right. Well done. Well done. Like I said, it was not a I got you question. It's just we want to take
I
these
got
moments to really think about how did we get here, right?
yeah. Right. Right.
How
Right.
did we get here? So we have man who jumps in and says, "This is what I'm gonna do," and here are the reasons. I'm gonna make it sound really nice, right? I'm gonna make it all flowery. Okay, we're gonna put quote unquote lipstick on a pig and tell you that she's pretty. That's what they've
Yeah.
done,
Mm-hmm.
and we bought it. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, so now we start digging in a little bit deeper on some of this patristical Christianity and paganism. Okay, so neo Christianity fosters a doctrine that defies the son of Elohim rather than deifies the son of Elohim rather than Elohim himself. So
Mm.
we're saying, Father Yah, I'm going to take something that you created and I'm going to put you up above it. Or I'm going to put that thing that you created higher up than you. So I want you to think about that for just a second. Are we taking things in our lives and putting them above Elohim? Just a thought. And again, by deifying the Son rather than the Father, what we're now doing is we're going not only into idolatry, but also into blasphemy. Okay? So how do we do this? How do we what is the architecture behind this? We infuse, and I'm saying we, this is not us. They infused pagan rituals into things that were biblical. Again, they put lipstick on a pig and told you that it was pretty. Okay? So now we have things like Christmas. This is allegedly reflecting the celebration of the anointed's birth. How? So, can somebody tell me when the anointed was born? Sister Barakia.
Nobody knows the exact date, but it wasn't Christmas. Christmas is somebody else's birthday. Somebody pagan, a deity, something to do with a deity.
Perfect, sis. Perfect. We have
Hmm.
no idea. We have no idea. So now let's put this lipstick on this pig and tell you, hey, this is when Christ is born. So now they're telling you it's okay to celebrate Christmas because our God was born on that day. And let's take a moment just to unpack that. Your God has a birthday? Your God has a birthday. So that means if he was born at some point, he didn't exist. Just something to think about. So, Dr. Olafson, he says these old pagan festivals that the Roman Empire liked to play with, the old festivities to celebrate the natural turn from darkness to light, transformed into a celebration of the birth of the Christian Savior. Oh, so this was somebody else's day. Interesting. Tell me more, Dr. Olafson. Tell me just a little bit more. The powers of the symbolic tree. Oh, so now the tree has powers. Okay,
Mhm.
what else can we worship? The powers of the symbolic tree lit with candles at Christmas are inherited from those festivities. Really? Clutching my pearls. And so together the tree and the candles are associated with June. Oh, so now we have somebody else's name. Listen and just walk through this here. The antique symbolism of the dying God. So we have a God being born here. We got another God down here dying. These some weak gods. Like, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to worship a God, I need to know that he can live.
Right.
For I know that my Elohim lives. And not only does this God die, he has to have somebody else now come and bring him back to life. That's pretty wimpy. But that's just me though. I mean, by show of hands, who wants a God that can die? Okay, good. Well done. Oh, I didn't see whose hand that was. I'm taking that was a mistake.
Yeah.
My mistake.
No, I
Yeah.
figured that. Nobody wants a God that's so wimpy that he can die. And who knows what's even out here killing these gods? That's just weird. So okay, let's just watch a little quick video about the origin of some of the nonsense. Oop, hold on. Let me go back. Oh, give me just a second. I'm just realizing that my video isn't going to play. Give me just a second, okay?
Yep, we got you, sis.
We'll have to do this a different way. Brother Daniel, you want to regale us with a song?
No, Danielle is not singing no song.
I can't understand why
No,
not.
no, you know you put me on the spot, sis.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. Okay.
Enjoying the class though.
I appreciate that. Okay. Let me. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Can you hear it?
We've all heard the biblical
Yes.
origins of Christmas, but societies have been celebrating light and birth in the darkest days of winter centuries before Jesus walked the earth. In the Norse country, this winter celebration was known as Yule. Around December 21st, the winter solstice, fathers and sons dragged evergreens indoors as reminders of life and set logs on fire as a promise of good fortune. Ancient Rome had its own December festivals. 1 week before the winter solstice, Romans began celebrating Saturnalia, an orgy of food and drink in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture. Some Romans, particularly soldiers and government officials, also worshipped Mithra, the sun god. It is believed that to this small but powerful sect, the birthday of Mithra, December 25th, was the holiest day of the year. By the 1st century AD, pagan traditions were being challenged as Christianity took hold throughout the empire. But Christ's birth date remained a mystery, since the Bible doesn't mention exactly when he was born. Since pagan Rome already celebrated the birth of Mithra on December 25th, it is theorized the church adopted the date as the birth of the Christ child. In the 4th century, the church made it official, declaring December 25th as the feast day of the Nativity. The church knew it could not outlaw the pagan tradition.
Really quickly, I just want you all to notice that 400 years, that's what they just told us in the 4th century. 400 years after Christ's birth is when they're telling us that they officiated a date for his birth. I just wanted to point that out.
of Christmas, so it came to accept them. The evergreens traditionally brought indoors were decorated with apples, symbolizing the Garden of Eden. These apples would eventually become Christmas ornaments. The story of Santa Claus also begins in the 4th century with the death of Nicholas, a beloved Turkish bishop. The anniversary of his death became known as St. Nicholas Day. On December 6th, good children woke to gifts from the kindly saint. Bad children sulked away with nothing. In Holland, he was known as Sinterklaas. 1,500 years later in America, a seminary professor named Clement Clark Moore reimagined the legend of St. Nicholas. In 1822, Moore wrote a poem called The Night Before Christmas about a good-natured saint named Santa Claus, who was pulled by a group of reindeer and came down the chimney on Christmas Eve. Like St. Nicholas, Santa Claus spread good cheer and gave gifts to children. Less clear was exactly what this Santa Claus looked like. Then in 1863, Thomas Nast, a cartoonist for Harper's Weekly, settled the matter once and for all with his version of the Christmas saint. Nast's Santa was rotund and jolly, with a full white beard and a sack full of toys. An American icon was born.
New York.
So you all caught how all of this is essentially the imagination of various people, from what they're going to choose to be the date of Christ's birth, bringing this tree inside because it represents life, and we're going to put apples on it because that's like the Garden of Eden. And then, then we're going to come up with this Santa Claus, and we're going to tell you they don't even know what he looked like, and they're going to tell you what he looked like. So kind of revisiting our class from last week, remember we talked a lot about the imagination of men and having to have discernment as to what is real and what is right. And they even admit, no, none of this is in the Bible. So then it begs to ask the question, why then do you castigate me and throw me away because I'm saying I'm not going to come to Christmas dinner and I'm not going to show up with presents? So I imagine that some of you have kind of felt the anguish, the isolation of telling family and friends, I'm not going to take part in this because the origins of it, number one, do not come from my Elohim. And number two, the practices also stand in the face of my Elohim because we are doing things that are unbiblical. Is that fair? I'm assuming somebody's felt that way. Somebody's gone through that. Anyone like to share?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Margaret.
Shoot, I'm isolated almost now.
Yeah.
Because my husband isn't awake. He's on this, I don't know. He thinks I'm into a online religion or something.
A cult? Have you gotten that word yet?
I've heard that.
Oh, well, welcome. And I say welcome because you are not officially a part of this culture until you have been told you are in a cult.
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys have had the C word thrown at you, welcome, brothers and sisters. We are so happy to have you because Yah has given you a brand new family. Because guess what? You are doing what's in the book. And people have a problem with that. But let me tell you something, Miss Margaret. They don't have a problem with you.
No.
You know who they have a problem with?
The Most High.
There you
Say
it again for the people in the back.
And that's what, and I tell them, you don't have he'll say, your Sabbath. It's not my Sabbath. It's the Most High Sabbath. And it's a sign of his covenant with his children. When we keep the Sabbath, that's showing that that's obedience, one thing, and that's a sign that we're keeping holding on to the covenant and being within the covenant.
Right.
We have to do things, not just say it,
Right.
or hear it. We have to do it.
Yes.
And I think, and I just continue to stay before, I don't argue with anyone, but I let them know, listen, our traditions that we have been fed makes the Most High's word be of no effect.
Yeah.
But now you don't want to, they don't even want to open up the Bible. Open it up and read it. You just open it up.
Right. Right. And they will try to hold you accountable to things that they think are in the book that they do not read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's frustrating, isn't it, man? I hear the frustration in your voice. It's
Yeah, me too.
isn't it?
Yes. I just sometimes I just hush up. Okay. Well, Father, you're gonna have to deal with them.
And that's exactly correct. For those of us who know better, we do better, right? Those of us who know we are held accountable to it. Our Father in heaven is a gracious Father, and what He does is if He offers grace in ignorance, right?
Yes.
So you give those who are ignorant, they let them be have grace outside of the covenant. Elohim will deal with them, but He's going to deal with us who knows better. So those of us who know better do better.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
Appreciate that testimony as always, Miss Margaret. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna tell you why this page is painful for me. You see this pretty, no, I don't want to call it pretty. You see this demonic tree right here? Oop, sorry, I went backwards. Do you all see this? Do you know what this actually is? Can anybody tell me what this actually is? No one knows, and that's okay that you don't. Sister Barakia, yes, go ahead. You wanna give it a shot? No, you have to come off mute. Or Sister Jamaica, was that you just now?
It's idol. Oh, that was me, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, it's idolatry.
It absolutely is. You are 100% right. You are 100.
Some people call it's Tammuz. It's about him, or Nimrod, and it's a lot of different names and different culture involved with this tree.
Yeah, okay.
It really is.
Okay, there's something else.
That's all I'll say.
Okay, no, that's okay, sis. That's okay. There's something else specific.
It's mentioned in Jeremiah 10 too.
No. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hurt your feelings in just a second. Not you personally, but just in general. So, Sister Morieyah, can you tell me what this specific tree is?
Cain, shalom. It is the Hanukkah tree, the Hanukkah bush.
Thank you. This is a Hanukkah bush. Now tell me, what's the difference between the Hanukkah bush and the Christmas tree? We supposed to know better. We're supposed to know better.
The Christmas tree has decorations on it.
So does the Hanukkah bush. So
there's no difference.
That's the point. So Adonaiah, you are 100% correct, but Morieyah hit it right on the head. There is no difference. So now, instead of showing the nations how to serve Yah, there are people who profess to know Yah, and they're doing what the nations are doing. Because you see the little dreidel and all this other stuff like this, and they put presents around their Hanukkah bush. When I tell you, this broke my heart when I saw this. And I'm not saying we, because I'm not associating us with this. Those who profess to know Yah and do this, that is called a pashat sin. That is a high-handed sin. When you are saying, I know better, but I'm choosing to do differently, I'm choosing to do what the nations are going to do. Okay. Now they're so sick with this tree worship that now they even got Easter trees.
Yes.
That's what this one is right here. This one is an Easter tree. How does this bring glory to Elohim? How? All right. Sorry, y'all. I know I get a little passionate. It's just I had to sound the alarm. I don't understand how we profess to know and love Yah and do something like this, right? Because what you're doing is you're trying to trick Elohim by saying, number one, Hanukkah is not a commanded holy day. It is not a part of the holy days that we get from the Torah. It's not ecclesiastical, meaning it's not mandated by the priest. It is a civil holy day, venerating the rededication of the temple. Okay. There's nothing in the rededication of the temple that is glorifying Yah and glorifying this by doing this. Nothing. And it's nothing more than a remembrance day, by the way. It is not meant to be the partner, the antithesis, the challenge to Christmas of doing the same thing that Christianity is doing, but doing it with a blue bow instead of a gold one. That is not what this is meant to be. Just looking for ways to replace the old things that we were doing and hiding it under the name of the Most High. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, okay. So now we get off into Easter. So I imagine this week, next couple of days, that you all, if you haven't already, are going to be hearing from family and friends asking if you're coming over for Easter. I don't even understand how people are doing Easter eggs with the cost of eggs this day. I just don't get it. So how do we try to pull the wool over your eyes? Let's put lipstick on a pig. How do we do it? We're going to say that Christ's death and resurrection is the reason that we can now celebrate Easter. That sounds good. That sounds right. So because the anointed died, even though he died during the Pesach unleavened bread, but when he rose on that Sunday, we can now worship on that Sunday. That'll work. What do you guys think? Does that work? Does that work? Celebrating Easter? No, it doesn't work. We're celebrating Estor. Is indirect worship of another pagan deity. So John Grimm says that it's another heathen religion whose worship was so firmly rooted that Christian teachers tolerated the name. Now, Elohim says, I don't want to hear the name of any other God coming out of your mouth. I mean, can somebody co-sign that? Does anybody remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he says, sis.
Okay. Sister Lisa, you have your hand up. I apologize. I have missed it. Did you have a question?
It was my error. Sorry about that.
No. You're fine, sis. I just want to make sure we're giving you what you need. Your hand just went back up.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. But yeah, he says that it was so firmly rooted that the Christian teachers tolerated the name and applied it to one of their own grandest anniversaries. I mean, how do you do that? How? Brother Daniel, can you read this last paragraph for us?
Absolutely. For many, practicing Christianity has become a subtle way of practicing ancient pagan theologies and doctrines within the framework of the Messiah. Hence, Christianity is seen by many as religious subterfuge.
Yep,
Did I,
religious
did,
subterfuge.
subterfuge. Thank you.
Mhm.
A strategic way of retaining pagan ideals in a faith that was supposed to retain its Judaic foundation based upon the ideals of 1, the law, Torah, 2, the testimony of the prophets, 3, the teachings of Yehoshua, the Messiah, and 4, the evangel of the apostles.
Right. Right. So Christianity is performing religious subterfuge. So you out here with spies that you sending into other people's countries, right? Into paganism, searching out their paganism, and then strategically bringing it in to a pure faith, right? So now here we go again with this pagan residuum, with this residue, with that film on my dishes. And I do not like film on my dishes. I cannot eat off my dishes if there are if that haze is on the glass.
Yeah.
Who wants to eat off of dishes that are allegedly clean but look dirty? Again, just put a little bit of vinegar in there and it'll take it right out. But I digress. Subterfuge. That is what's going on here. I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you it's this, but it's really going to be that. I'm going to put lipstick on this pig and I'm going to tell you she's pretty. All right. Bear with me here. Let me bring up this next video. All right. You all seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hear it? Are you all able to hear it?
Yes.
Easter, the holiest day of the Christian calendar, a celebration of Jesus Christ's resurrection from the dead. So what does this miracle have to do with a bunny delivering painted eggs? The answer lies in 100 generations of rituals and customs. According to the Gospels of the New Testament, Jesus Christ and his apostles entered Jerusalem to observe Passover, the Jewish holy season that celebrates the Hebrews' release from slavery. After the Passover supper, Jesus was arrested, and on what is now called Good Friday, he was crucified. 2 days later, he rose from the dead. Those of Jewish origin were the first to celebrate the resurrection, likely as a new facet of the Passover festival. In fact, the Easter celebration was called Pascha. It's derived from the word Pesach, the Jewish translation for Passover. Originally, Easter was celebrated 2 days after Passover, so it fell on any day of the week. But Easter Wednesday just didn't feel right. In 325 AD, Roman Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea ruled that Easter must fall only on a Sunday.
Now here we go again. We have another council. We got another group of men coming together to decide when these things are going to happen. Just want to make sure I keep pulling that out. You know, we have again the different creeds and the councils who are deciding how these things and when these things are happening.
The day when Christ rose. Easter Sunday would be the first Sunday to follow the full moon after the spring equinox. It could occur anywhere between March 22nd and April 25th. Around this same time, Christians began one of the first recorded rituals of the modern Easter celebration, the lighting of the Paschal candle, its flame a reminder of Christ's resurrection, light out of darkness. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, different pagan customs blended into the holidays. In fact, the actual word Easter may have come from Estra, the goddess of spring and fertility, which brings us to the Easter egg. Eggs have been a mythological symbol of birth for thousands of years. Christians adopted the egg as an Easter custom sometime around the 13th century. The yolk inside a shell represented Christ's emergence from the tomb. Eggs were painted red to represent the blood Christ shed on the cross. The colorful Easter egg soon hatched its own traditions. A popular one was egg rolling. In 1876, Congress prohibited kids from playing on the Capitol grounds. So, President Rutherford B. Hayes opened the White House lawn to the little rollers. After that, the White House Easter egg roll became a tradition. So when did that Easter bunny hop into the scene? The fertile rabbit had long been a symbol of new life in European pagan celebrations. Beginning around the 16th century, parents told children that if they behaved, on the eve of Easter, the Osterhaus would come and lay colorful eggs. Children built nests in their homes to entice the rabbit to visit. And so began the customs of the Easter egg hunt and the Easter basket. To help fill out those baskets, 19th century European chocolatiers began making egg-shaped chocolates. The sweet trend quickly spread throughout the world. Today, billions of dollars are spent each year on Easter candy. Easter. It's a joyful day when Christians celebrate the resurrection. For 2,000 years, customs have been added, some spiritual and some fun. But Easter is also the time for families to gather and welcome spring.
Whatever. Okay, so you noticed a couple of things in there. Again, we have councils and creeds deciding when these things are going to happen. And they're saying, well, we don't like there being an Easter Wednesday, so we have to make sure that Easter always falls on a Sunday. So now we're going to bring in a different type of calendar in order to create this. That's why you never have Easter in the same coming at the same time. Nothing to do with our calendar, like how we have the month of Abib that we use and we see the barley, and this is how we're able to count when the Passover took place. We've got documentation from the Most High saying this is how we make this calculation. They just randomly decided, like, hey, we don't like this, so this is now how it's going to be. Okay, so now you've got a spinoff, and now the spinoff is creating the eggs, and now the eggs is creating a capitalistic system. I mean, it just continued to spin into something that has absolutely nothing to do with the faith of Yeshua. It has nothing to do with the testimony from the apostles, and it has nothing to do with the Torah. Nothing at all. Out of their own mouths, they show us this. All right. So, oh goodness. So now we got to deal with New Year. Oh, goodness gracious. Or where I'm from, they call it Old Year's Night, New Year's Day. Anyway, so New Year and New Year's resolutions, again, also infused into Neo-Christianity. We see this as something that started with the Babylonians celebrating the beginning of the year. Now, what's funny to me about that is that even though Israel went through an exile, they were in Babylonian captivity, they managed to, at least for some time, stay away from this. It took Christianity to now bring this Babylonian trait into the alleged worship of the Most High. Again, alleged, because we know that's not the case. Because what are we dealing with here? The gods involved here are Janus, the two-faced god, and Nabu and his father Marduk. So when people are making New Year's resolutions, these are petitions to the pagan god Janus, as they were previously to the Babylonian god of Marduk. So people say, well, oh, it's just the calendar. There's nothing wrong with it. But you don't even know why it is you're doing what you're doing and the implications of what it means behind what you're doing. Now we have John Wesley, who thinks he's going to come in and clean it up. He's going to have this watch night service, and we're going to have people come to the church instead because that's so much more righteous. because people are out there being hedonistic. They're getting into all forms of debauchery. So let's bring them to the church instead. But neo-Christians would never say that they are petitioning a pagan god. They won't say that. But yet, the origins of these New Year's resolutions and festivities and watch night and Old Year's night and all of these different things all began with a pagan religion. And as long as you continue to retain the date and the timing, you're still involved with this paganistic behavior. Brother Daniel, can you read that last part that's in bold?
Absolutely. Neo-Christians would never, ever say that they are petitioning a pagan god. Yet, this is the origin of one's New Year's resolution and festivity. Birthday celebration, Valentine's Day, and Halloween are all incorporated in Christian worship and fellowship, representing pagan holidays that were celebrated thousands of years prior to the emergence of Christianity.
So wait a second, brother. Are you saying you can't get your boo a Valentine's Day?
Yeah, you can if you want to celebrate some pagan deities.
Oh.
But no, we don't play those games, sister.
Oh, but it's just candy that we're giving to the kids, and
Yeah.
the kids are so cute. We can't get the kids candy when they come knocking at the door, brother.
As I said, we don't play them games.
But y'all knows what's in my heart.
By what? By your actions, correct?
I mean, wait, if you gonna hold me accountable.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do.
Ooh, okay. All right. Oh, I got another video for you guys. All right, bear with me here. This one is going to be short. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
All right. And sound?
This day is a complete...
Yes.
Okay. Good deal.
New Year's Day. This day is a complete inaccurate celebration of the modern Gregorian calendar. The New Year's celebration is celebrating the Roman god Janus, who is their god of new beginnings and transitions. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. And it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears out the set-apart ones of the Most High. And it intends to change appointed times in law, and they are given into its hand for a time, and times, and half a time. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 9. Do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the reign of Yah? Do not be deceived, neither those who whore, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor homosexuals. Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. See to it that no one makes a prey of you through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, according to the elementary matters of the world, and not according to Messiah.
All right. So what the sister was just kind of reminding of us there is that, again, these are the traditions of men. And again, we talked about the fact of those who know better need to do better. And bear with me, I just have another quick one. It's not here. Okay, never mind. We'll move on. We will move on. All right. So the Christianity in the first century was a form of Judaism that simply believed that Yeshua was the promised Messiah. He is the Mashiach. Nothing changed within the Hebraic Jewish framework besides accepting that Christ was the prophesied Messiah, the son of Elohim, and that he nullified the sacrificial ordinances. So he didn't nullify the entire law, he nullified just the sacrificial ordinances because now he became the sacrifice. What he also did was he got rid of those man made traditions. So, guess what? You can use the bathroom on the Shabbat day. Praise
Thank
God.
you.
This form of Christianity is biblical and it is referred to as primitive Christianity. Again, this is the following of Christ. When people say that I was a Christ follower, wonderful, beautiful. Then do the things that the anointed himself did. Don't make up a whole bunch of nonsense out here on this tomfoolery and then tell me that you follow the Messiah, that you are a Christian when he wouldn't even recognize you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. The early church leaders polluted the organic form of biblical Christianity. Yo, they put residue on my dishes, and I am not happy with that. There's a film on the dishes, and I cannot stand it. Billions of people believe that they practice the gospel taught by the anointed. That is the saddest thing in the world to me. That you think that you are practicing the same religion that the anointed and the apostles taught because somebody fed you a lie, because they polluted it with all of this, and because you haven't had an opportunity to learn differently. Because again, one of the things that you will always hear the elders and the people within this assembly say, we do not castigate the people who show up to church. We do not castigate the people who are in ignorance because they are in ignorance. There is a law of ignorance. The Most High has compassionate on people who did not know better, right? Because you were told and you believed that what you were told was the truth, but you were lied to. And that is so sad that you actually believe that this is the truth because people have lied to you, because they have polluted the organic form of biblical Christianity. They have polluted the word of Elohim. Ooh, we got another thought bubble. Brother Dana, help me out. Give us something to think about.
The Italian humanist and historian Polydore Virgil states that
Not hearing you, brother.
you can't hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Okay. Let's start over.
Ooh. Ooh. There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay, here we go. The Italian humanist and historian Polydore Virgil states that the church has borrowed many customs from the religion of the Romans and other pagans, but it has meliorated, that means to make better, them and applied them to a better use.
The church borrowed.
Yes.
So here's my thing. If you borrow something, you're supposed to give it back, right? That's what our book says, right?
Yeah.
So they borrowed the customs from the religion of Romans and other pagans.
There it is.
But then they're saying, but what we did was we made it we made it better, right? We put it to better use than what the Romans and the pagans were doing, right?
I think
Because
that's that film on your dishes,
I
sis.
think there's
Really.
film on my dishes. I mean, they telling me that it's clean. Is that not what they said?
Yeah.
Is that not what they said? That my
Mm,
dishes was clean.
mm-mm.
I used Cascade, the one with the three pods in it.
Yeah.
But so when they said that they made it better than how the Romans and the pagans were using it, it still seems like there's film on my dishes, brother Daniel. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Oh, it's absolutely film on your dishes.
Boy,
Yeah. That ameliorated means film on your dishes, sis. I'm
you're
sorry.
right.
I gotta tell you. I must admit.
All right, so what I'm hearing throughout this whole class is I need to rewash my dishes, right? We need to go back to the start because these dishes ain't got that we got issues with these dishes.
Absolutely. Wash them in the word. As long as you wash them in the word, you'll be all right.
Praise Yah. Praise Yah. We about to get that whole new brand of dishwashing detergent out there. The word. Clean these dishes. So Neo-Christendom, modern Christianity, emerged. It came out of it's the yolk that came out of the egg. What? That's what they said, right? It was the yolk that came out of the egg to symbolize that's the amelioration. That's the film on my dishes.
Right.
They separated. Let's literally go behind what the real meaning is of this, right? So now, right? They told you that that's what they did, but let's look at what they really did. They made for themselves a separation. They emerged to separate from Judaic roots. Why? It was a rebellion against Judaism. But I'll take that out and I'll tell you it was a rebellion against Elohim himself. The church began to form its own laws. The church began to form its own laws. But they're telling you the law was done away with. But how did they do this though? They did it through canon. They did it through creeds. They did it through ecclesiastical tenets. And why did they do it? To show a distinction between Judeo-Christianity, the Christianity that the anointed and the apostles followed and preached. So now we got a distinction. We have a rebellion, and the rebellion is televised, y'all. And now we got this new patristical Christianity. We have this modern Christianity because everybody knows if it's modern, it's better, right? Because we borrowed, we ameliorated, but we put it to better use, right? Because the pagans, they weren't using their paganism quite right. We made their paganism better. Why? Because we were able to establish a fellowship and we brought people together. We have a communal socialization. We reformed the faith. We reformed what Elohim told you, and we architected something new. But really, what they did was they incorporated pagan practices and glossed it over and painted Yeshua's name on it and said, slap is good. Brother Danielle, can you help me out with what Mr. Lewis said?
Lewis said, truth was much obscured by the determined effort of Protestant writers to show that the pagan residuum.
Oh God, that again. Did they put residue on my dishes again?
Yeah. Pagan residuum on your dishes was all in the Catholic Church.
Oh.
Whereas the facts show that there could have been no Roman Catholic Church had not paganism first prepared the way for its development by corrupting the earliest Christianity.
Oh,
Can we read that sentence again?
please read it again.
Whereas the facts show that there could have been no Roman Catholic Church had not paganism first prepared the way for its development by corrupting the earliest Christianity. The facts show with equal vividness that Protestantism has retained much of paganism by inheritance.
Oh.
It has inherited much paganism.
So,
Protestantism, go ahead, sister.
so my people have inherited lies? Is that what you were telling me?
Absolutely.
Oh, my pearls.
Absolutely.
Let me clutch my pearls.
Protestantism theoretically means, go ahead, Sister Margaret, you got a question?
I do. I just that the retaining of the paganism by inheritance, it makes the word of Yah be of no effect.
Yes.
People do not want to, they rather lean towards the tradition than the truth. It's a contradiction between truth and tradition.
Sister Margaret,
that's the wrong key.
Hear you. Sister Margaret, the people in the back did not hear you. Say it again.
I said it's just the adoption of the paganism, how it has been by inheritance, how we have just engulfed it and swallowed it. It makes Yah's word be of no effect.
Yes, you said that they would rather have tradition.
They'd rather have tradition than truth.
What you said, Miss Margaret.
They do. It's just pitiful.
Thank you. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well said. Well said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Said. Appreciate that. We missed you last week.
The last sentence says Protestantism theoretically means the entire elimination of the pagan residuum. Again, practically, that work is but fairly begun.
So it means the elimination of it. But is that what I got? Because I keep seeing residue on my dishes, and I'm paying a lot for this dishwashing liquid.
Yeah, you got residue on top of residue.
Residue and residuum. It was so bad they had to put 2 U's in there.
Oh.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I know, we're closing out our holy day at this point because we're actually following the laws that the Most High has given us. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. What's important here? What have we learned here this evening? All right. Mainstream Christianity does not accord with the gospel taught during the 1st century AD. Let me say it again. Mainstream Christianity does not accord with the gospel taught during the 1st century AD. But what about denominations like Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Baptists and the Seventh-day Adventists? Regardless of those, the ones who regard themselves as restorationists, what they claim is false. And why is that? Because none of these sects teach the gospel that mirrors the doctrine taught by the apostles. So if you're not mirroring the doctrine that the apostles taught, that Yeshua taught, you putting residue on my dishes. The patristics and the Catholic Church they grafted in paganism, right? So the Gentiles were supposed to be grafted in with Israel, meaning that they were supposed to worship like Israel worshiped, right? And what did they do? They grafted in paganism. They combined pagan rituals with the doctrine of the church. They grafted pagan rituals with the doctrine of the church. And now you're making people participate in pagan holidays, and you're saying that it's righteous when it's actually idolatrous. That is what is taking place here. So, brothers and sisters, I am going to give our fabulous brother Daniel
Oh, you're too kind, sister. You're too kind.
an opportunity to give us his thoughts on this evening's class. But yeah, hopefully we have kind of brought it all we've kind of brought it all into light, and yeah. So brother Daniel, go ahead and give
Yeah.
some comments.
Great job. First of all, let me say great job to you, sister
Appreciate you.
Morieyah. I appreciate you. I appreciate you and the sister Tseruyah just letting me you know, check in with y'all in here in this class. You had a great class. I appreciate all y'all. Just to reiterate, some of the stuff you was talking about throughout this presentation. We've examined how this modern Christianity, or what we call neo-Christianity, has completely separated itself from its first century roots. We've seen that this neo-Christendom, like we've said, it's almost 2.5 billion people that practice that today. It bears no resemblance to the faith that Yahshua and his apostles taught. It's you showed the historical evidence that the early church deliberately incorporated the pagan elements into Christianity just to make it more appealing to its pagan converts. We talked about the Sunday worship replacing the biblical seventh-day Sabbath to the holidays like Christmas, Easter, and New Year's, incorporating all those pagan rituals. And what did that do? That changed the character of the original Christianity. It fundamentally changed it. Period. You know what I mean? There's that Christianity is way long gone. So, as believers seeking the truth, that's us. We must ask ourselves: are we following the traditions of man, or are we following the commandments of Elohim? Which one? It's for us. That's for us to choose. So, in the scriptures, they warn against us adding to or taking away from Elohim's word. Yet we've shown this through history. This exact thing has happened as a neo-Christianity evolved from its apostolic foundations. So they've corrupted Yah's word. True worship, as defined biblically, sister, is simple. Observe Elohim's commandments, embrace Yahshua as the Messiah.
Yes.
That's it. That's the true essence of primitive Christianity, not this concoction of this half true biblical teachings infused with the pagan customs that characterizes modern religion practices of today. No, we about the true essence of Christianity, not this fake neo Christianity. So we encourage everybody just to examine the matters carefully, and always test all things against just the word of Elohim. Test it against not our word, not Sister Morieyah's word, not Tseruyah's word. Test it against the word of Elohim, whatever you do. And we know that the true path to authentic faith requires a discernment between human traditions and the divine truth, between what's merely familiar and what is biblically sustainable. That's all that matters, yo. Fear Elohim, keep his commandments.
Praise Yah. Well said.
That's it, sister. And like I said again, I appreciate you. I appreciate you allowing me to be here. It's always great.
Praise Yah. That was great. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you. That was good. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
All right.
So
So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the quiz. I'm going to let you handle that as well. And
okay,
yeah, appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely. So how many questions? I think we got about 25 questions.
Let me see.
25.
Let me see.
Yeah, yeah, 26.
26.
That's fine.
Mhm.
So let's get like five volunteers to answer five of these questions apiece. Who want to help us out first with the first five?
All right, you got Sister Jerry, you got Morieyah.
Okay, Sister Jerry. Then we'll
I
come to my sister Morieyah.
know Matt
That's what I
was going to be on deck. I was waiting for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I love it. I love the participation. Let's
Oh,
go, Sister Jerry.
yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, the first five, Sister Jerry.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, number one, approximately how many Christians are there in the world? And I have 2.3 billion.
Yes. Yes.
Two, what is the fastest growing religion in the earth? And I have Islam.
Yes, Islam.
Um, what is religious switching? And I put changing from one religion identity or affiliation to another. And that was per Pew Research Center.
Yes. Yes, you're gonna get a lot of religious switching with this neo-Christianity. That's just part of it because you know something ain't right. But number four,
Exactly.
sister.
Exactly. Okay, true or false? Lewis believes that a Christian must reject data pertaining to his religion if it does not accord with his Christian creed or doctrine. True.
No, let's talk
That's
about
false.
that.
That's
Yes,
false.
yes. Lewis
Okay.
Lewis was the one who actually argued the opposite. He
Okay.
said the Christians should welcome historical facts, even if they challenge previously held beliefs. So he was like, you got to check your data. You know,
Okay.
data, not drama. So yes, that one was false.
Okay. I'll
Number
change that right
five.
now.
Okay.
What religion is averse to the cultural tenets and beliefs of the Jewish faith that were observed by Christ and the apostles? And I put neo-Christianity or modern.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's as our teacher would say, is diametrically opposed to our Jewish faith. You know, it's totally opposite. So you're absolutely correct, sister. And I appreciate you chiming in and answering those questions for us.
No problem.
So 6
Glad
through
to-
10, is this sister Morieyah?
Cain, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, sister. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are
Yeah.
you?
I'm great. I'm great. Y'all got me excited in here. I'm enjoying y'all class, so I'm just happy to be here. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, he's
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah,
welcome to
indeed.
come back and hang out with us anytime, Brother Deniel. Look, we know
Oh yes.
Adonai is like, yes, another brother. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pop in here. Absolutely. Go ahead, sister. 6 through 10.
Okay, now I'm going to have help with 7, but here we go.
Okay.
Number 6, what does Christian restoration mean? It means going back to the biblical foundation, returning to its original state that had been handed down from thousands of years.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, number 7.
Mhm.
Name 2 groups that have emerged to reintroduce the cultural tenets of the Jewish faith back to modern Christianity. I couldn't find my answers. That's where I need some help. So I can write that down and I'll have it in my notes.
Absolutely. Somebody chime in and help Sister Morieyah out. Those are the denominations in the restorationist movement. So anybody want to help her out?
You can just come off mute and answer.
I say Seventh-day Baptists and Seventh-day Adventists.
There you go. There you go. Also the Jehovah's Witnesses. So there are your groups right there, sister.
Told ya. Okay, I have written those down. Okay. Number 8. What is the etymology of the word pagan? It means it derives from the Latin word pagus, which means like country dweller, villager.
Yes. Yes.
Later, it took on the meaning of the people who held on to the old ways of the how do you say that? Polytheistic?
Polytheistic.
Thank
Meaning,
you.
yes.
Polytheistic
Yes.
worship in the, like in a manner of speaking. So,
Yes.
yeah.
You
Okay.
got it. You got it. You
Okay.
on point.
Okay.
Okay.
So, kind of like the pantheism gods of God.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Number 9, true or false? I say it's true.
Okay.
In the purest sense of the word, paganism represents any religious or cultural practice that is foreign to the edict and mandates of the Bible, referred to as the gospel. That is true.
Absolutely. It's absolutely true.
Number 10, how does Messiah use the term yoke? Well, he uses it as a metaphor for the teachings or of the doctrine, because physically looking at the yoke on an oxen, you see that it's heavy, you see that it's hard, and so metaphorically he's telling people, take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light, so that we don't have to have all of the drudging down of what paganism tries to teach people.
Absolutely, sister. Y'all getting me excited in here. That's what I'm talking about. I love the energy. I love the energy in here.
She went
Okay,
back
sister,
to the
we appreciate you.
pictures. Sister, I'm so
Appreciate you.
proud that the
Hello.
pictures brought that to
Shalom.
life. You did great. Oh,
Shalom, shalom.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Okay, who we got next for 11 through 16?
I know we have Miss Margaret on deck.
Miss Margaret.
Mhm.
Absolutely, Miss Margaret. Step right up.
Okay.
Number 11.
Cousin, I'm going to text you the address. Number 11. What was Yeshua's doctrine predicated upon?
Yes.
The law, the Torah, the first
Yes.
5 books of the Bible.
Absolutely. 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 That was it. That's that.
Right.
What else do we need? You know?
Right.
Now we got him on top of it. You know, but yes, the law, the Torah. Absolutely, sister. Number 12.
Number 12. What are the 2 names given to people who observe the Mashiach's teachings? Followers of Christ, hence Christians, or Nazarenes, since Christ emerged from Nazareth.
There we go. There we go. Absolutely right. Yes.
All right. Number 13. Where can we find the admonition of not adding anything to the gospel? By the apostles. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 15.
Yes, correct.
All right, number 14. What biblical passages demonstrates to us that people had begun to introduce a new teaching within the gospel, different from what the apostles received from Hamashiach and taught? Galatians 1, 6 through 9, and Colossians 2 and 8.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Those. All right, and number 15. Why would a disciple refer to the Mashiach as a God? In John 20 and 28, they, as a term recognizing his authority as one who was risen from the dead. That's the only reason. When doubting Thomas, when he told him, "Come on, put your hand here in this hole."
That's right, sister. Absolutely. Absolutely correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate that energy too, sister. I feed, and I'm sure Sister Morieyah does too. We all feed off that energy, and y'all got some great energy in here. Okay, who can 16 through 20? Who can answer those for us?
Sister Barakia.
Yes.
Hey, shalom.
Shalom, sister.
Shalom.
Shalom. The question is, what reasons Does Justin Martyr a patristic gift for holding Yah Sabbath on a Sunday rather than, the Sabbath, the seventh day of the week? Well, he gives the excuse that, the Messiah rose on the first day, so they would rather do it on that day. And the other reason was because in Genesis, it says that Yah rested. Well, wait a minute. It was something else. Oh, it was because Yah started the creation on the first day. Those were the
Absolutely.
two reasons.
Absolutely. I like what you said first. The excuse. There wasn't even reason. There was excuses that Justin Martyr gave. But you're absolutely right, my sister. Number
Right.
17.
Okay. 17. What is another name for Judeo-Christianity? Let's see. Modern Christianity.
Okay, let's try it again. So Judeo Christianity. That's the Judean Christianity. This is the first
Oh, this is
Christianity.
the original.
Yes, the original. So that would be
Sinaitic, or just Christianity, I guess.
Primitive.
Yes,
Okay.
there you go. Primitive Christianity.
Primitive.
Although I
It's
like
kind
that.
of confusing because it goes back and forth, and it calls, what we're doing primitive because it's what, Christ and the apostles, and it's going all the way back,
Yes, we
even
gotta take it back.
An eternal Sabbath, that Yah kept. So
Yes,
I got a little mixed up on that one.
That's okay. That's okay. You cleaned it up. You cleaned it right up.
Okay.
Now we're on number 18.
Okay, 18. True or false? Before the formation of Christianity, pagans worship trees, which would later be adopted in Christianity. Yeah, that was true.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
true.
Yeah, and the sister Morieyah even showed us how some so-called Jews still worshiping trees today, and it's sickening. But yes, that's absolutely true, sister. Number 19.
Okay. Number 19, what did the tree symbolize in paganism? The Great Mother and her symbol, the tree, is what I read. I don't know if that's quite right, but
yeah, that was she was mentioned in there, but it's just a cyclical process of death and rebirth. At the end of the day, it's the process of death and rebirth. But yeah, the Great Mother was mentioned in there. It's a bunch of craziness, but that's what paganism is. So
death and rebirth. Okay.
And number 20.
Down. Okay, 20 is where in the King James Bible does the name Easter appear? I couldn't find that one. I don't know.
You want to phone a friend? There you go, Sister
There you go, Mayim. You go right ahead.
Hey, sis. Shalom. I found it in Acts 12 and 4.
Absolutely. Acts 12 and 4.
I got a bonus question for you, Sister Morieyah.
Uh-oh.
No, you're good. You're good. If we were to convert that into Greek, what should that read as? Do you remember?
Okay, wait. Yes, I do know. Oh my goodness! No, you didn't do that to me.
Look, I'll give you a hint. We're
Give me a
doing it right now.
Boom, 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 boom,
I don't have it.
boom,
I don't have it.
No, you're good. You're good. It was
boom,
Pesach. Pascha.
The pagan. Okay, never
No,
mind.
no. In
yes,
Hebrew, it says, or it actually in the Greek, it actually says Pascha, which
Uh,
mhm,
is for Pesach, and they just
right.
translated
right,
it as Easter.
right. Okay,
No.
got
Like
it
I said,
now.
it wasn't in this week's lesson. I know we talked about it a while back. I just wanted to remind you all that that was again why we look at the Greek and we look at the Hebrew, because again, they're going to put that lipstick on a pig and they're going to tell you this is what it says. But you know how to read. So you
Hmm.
read it yourself and be like, but that's interesting because when I go back to the source language, the source language actually has Passover. Just just gonna put that on the table and let y'all do
And that was in Acts. What?
it.
Acts 12 and 4.
12 and 4. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
so who gonna bring us home with the last one, two, three, the last six, 21 through 26?
Oh,
Sister
sister,
Azaria. Shalom, sister.
Shalom.
Shalom.
What was Easter's original name and who is she? I have Astra, pagan goddess of the sunrise.
Yes, absolutely.
22, why is Easter associated with Christ? I have, it was applied to Christ's resurrection because he rose on the dawn of the day, the first day.
Yes. Now, see, this is this amelioration we've been talking about it, or as the sister said it. What you say, sister, about your dishes?
the residue on my dishes.
There's residue, putting them residue on their dishes. See how they intertwine. They trying to intertwine these pagan rituals with
Yes.
with Yahshua and this nasty and stuff up, mucking it up. That's what we'll
Yeah.
say. But
There you
yes, you're absolutely right, sis.
23, what are the 4 data points one can analyze to determine that Christianity is not the doctrine Christ left with his followers? Number 1, the law, Torah. Number 2, testimony of the prophets. Number 3, the teachings of Yahshua the Messiah. Number 4, the evangel of the apostles.
Bam, 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 bam. You knocked them right out, sister. Absolutely. Number 24.
24, what are 2 features in Easter that illustrates its pagan origin that Christianity observes? It's the renewal and fertility rites, Easter egg and rabbit.
Yes. Good old Easter egg hunt. That's
Mm-hmm.
silliness, but yes, that's it, sister. As Arya would say, Thomas, let's just continue for we get off into that. Number 25.
25, true or false? Watch night and covenant renewal services is a Christianized version of the Akitu festival and vows to pagan gods, and that's true.
Absolutely is. Absolutely. Last one. 26.
26. Who says that? Okay, I can't say that word.
Protestantism.
Protestantism has retained much of paganism by inheritance, and that is Abram Hebert Lewis in 1892.
Absolutely, sister. Appreciate you and appreciate everybody for your participation and that energy. Y'all got me energized over here. Great job, everybody.
Praise Yah. And great work.
Praise God indeed.
Great work as always. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So just a couple of passages wanted to give you all as food for thought. First off, we had Ezekiel 14, 1-4. And that says, Then some of the leaders of Israel visited me. And while they were sitting with me, this message came to me from Yah. Son of man, these leaders have set up idols in their hearts. They have embraced things that will make them fall into sin. What should I listen to? Why should I listen to their requests? So, what we see here in verses 3, and 2 and 3, is that the people have idols, right? So now they've replaced these idols with their love for they've replaced the love of Yah with idols. And so Elohim is now saying, why should I listen to their requests? I.e., why should I listen to their prayers? Because if you pray into these little statues and these trees and you're bowing your knee to everything but Elohim, but then turning around and thinking that Elohim is going to bless you, why would he do that? This is what Elohim says. Tell them, this is what Adonai says. The people of Yisrael have set up idols in their hearts and fallen into sin. And then they go to a prophet asking for a message. Like, why again? You got your idols. Why are you coming to me? So I, Yah, will give them the kind of answer their great idolatry deserves. I don't know about you all, but I don't want that type of answer. Because Elohim tells us what the blessings and the curses are. He says, if you want to go out and whore yourselves after other gods, you will get a whore's reward. Now, that's a paraphrase, but you understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Acts 17:29-31. Being then Elohim's offspring, we ought not to think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone. So Elohim is not into these pagan symbols, this man-made imagery. Again, an image formed by the art and the imagination of man. The times of ignorance Elohim overlooked. Now be mindful of that. The times of ignorance Elohim overlooked. But now he commands all people everywhere to repent. Again, those who know better do better. For our families who are outside of this covenant, this law, we don't try to stuff this law down their throats, because all we're going to do is heap burning coals upon their head, because if they're not ready to receive it, we are going to cause them to blaspheme. So let them be under ignorance. But for us, we know better. When we were ignorant, Elohim overlooked it, but we're not ignorant anymore. And because he has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, and of this he has given assurance to all by raising him from the dead. So we know who he's talking about there. So last couple of verses here. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. Flee from idolatry. Flee from idolatry. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. No commentary necessary. No, I imply that my pagan sacrifices they offer to demons and not to Elohim. The pagan sacrifices, these are being offered to demons. So when we are taking part in these things, we are taking part in demonology. We are taking part in satanic rituals. And that may sound crazy, that may sound harsh, but it also sounds like the truth. I do not want you to be participants with demons. You cannot drink of the cup of Yah and the cup of demons. Meaning, I can't go have Christmas dinner with my mama and them because, oh, it's just me hanging out with my mama and them, and then call myself a follower of Elohim, right? Because now I got one foot in and I have one foot out. And he says, I would rather you be hot or cold. This lukewarm thing, I can't do that. You cannot partake of the table of Yah and the table of demons. Again, you cannot partake of the table of Yah and the table of demons. So to go back to what my brother said in his commentary, you have to make a choice. Make a choice this day who you will serve. So I just wanted to put that little bit of food on your plate and give you something to digest. And we got open floor if anybody has any questions, comments, anything that they would like to share, or if we just want to kind of sit with some of those verses, I understand that as well. Sister Margaret?
Now, this class was beautiful. All these classes and teachings have been such eye-openings for me. But now I understand, and I have more of a clearer view when Yahshua says, if you deny me before anybody, if you deny me, then I'll deny you before my Father.
Yes.
Because as we are learning, and when I was first awakening, and I was awakening just by asking Abba Yah, what's your name? Because it can't be God.
Nope, that's a title.
It's too frivolous. Used too frivolous. And once I found the truth, it's just heartbreaking how I have just accepted the lies and the traditions and all. You make, with all your traditions, you make the word of Yah be of no effect.
Yes.
And that hit my just my heart. It just sunk in. Now I understand. I'm understanding.
Praise
These
God.
classes. Pretty soon I'll be in the SAPS class. I'll be,
Good.
my funds are it's getting better.
Praise
And I'll be able to go into SAPS for more in depth. I want to get into that marriage class, but yes.
Praise Yah, sis.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome.
All right, Sister Barakia.
Shalom, family. I just wanted to share something I've learned about sharing this truth and who to share it with. I think Yah kind of lets you know who wants to hear the truth and who doesn't. And then I can't remember the scripture, but it says he would give strong delusions.
Yes.
To people because he knows they don't want to hear it. And then I was also thinking, a man convinced against his will is of the same mind still. A man convinced against his will is of the same mind still. And I picked that up along the way, and I hold on to that, especially when talking to family. My whole family, thinks I'm in an occult.
Yep. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. It's not official until you get accused of being in a cult. Okay.
Yeah, right. I think most of us have heard that, but you gotta, just let it roll off your back like some water rolling off a duck's back.
Yep.
And you have to keep it moving forward and not let anyone turn you around, as the old folks used to say.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to share.
No, that was beautiful, sis. And what you just said, what that when you say not turn around, right? And we know the story of Lot's wife, right? And what is so illuminating about the story about Lot's wife is that they were told only look forward, do not turn back, right? But because she was so worldly, tied to the things that were going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, instead of being able to look forward towards the future that Elohim had ready for them, she looked back. And what happened when she looked back? She was turned into a pillar of salt. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to keep moving forward, because the minute we start backsliding, right, that's when we essentially get turned into salt, because you are going to be of no value at that point, because you can't see the things that Elohim has ahead for you because you're too tied to this world. Okay, so praise Yah, sis. I continue to pray for all of us that Elohim will illuminate us, that he will continue to guide us, to teach us wisdom, to teach us discernment, and in all our getting that we get understanding, because what it was for me, and I'm sure it's this way for all of us, is that we have chosen to be in a relationship with our creator. He is not a caveman getting ready to knock anybody over the head and drag you off into the sunset. That's not what's happening here. Like anyone who's in a relationship, you want that person to willingly choose you. And that is what Elohim is asking of us. He wants us to willingly fall in love with him. He wants us to willingly have a relationship with him. Because when somebody willingly loves you, when they open up their heart, their mind, everything to you, that is genuine. That is authentic. That is trustworthy. I can't capture you and run off into the sunset with you, because then I can't trust what we have. And that is what Elohim is saying to us in this process. You have to willingly choose me. And it is every last one of our choices. No one here is being forced, right? And you're going to choose me over mother, father, sister, brother, husband, wife, boss, and everybody else, if you want to really be down with this relationship. And yes, I'm going to take some people away from you. But even if I take some people away from you, if you will walk willingly with me, I will restore you to so much more than what you had. That is what it is like to fall in love with Elohim. And that is what he is asking of us, to choose him willingly, not to look back, but to look forward. So thank you for that, sis. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. All right. So next week's class, we are going to be talking about defining sin. Ooh, that's going to be a hot topic right there. That is going to definitely be a hot topic right there. Yes, Sister Margaret, because the world tells us that the law is done away with. And if the law is done away with, how can we sin? Right? The church will tell you that the law is done away with, but then tell you that X, Y, and Z is a sin. The Catholic Church will tell you that the law is done away with, but then you're expected to go to confession. But if law is done away with, what am I confessing? Right? So now we're going to throw away the law, and then we're going to tell you a whole bunch of other things that we made up is sin. So the rolling theme through these classes is going to be about the imaginations and the machinations of man. So looking forward to this class. Can't wait to hear what you all have to say, what you all think about that. And yeah. So Brother Daniel, you have anything else that you want to add?
Nah, sis, just once again, I appreciate everybody for letting me tap in, join in this class. I love everyone's energy, everyone's excitement. You know, everybody wants to be here, and hey, I just appreciate it. Great class.
All right. Well, we very much appreciate you. And if I could impose on you one more time to close us out in prayer, I'm realizing that I didn't do an opening, but we're gonna you all. Hopefully, I can get a little bit of grace. You know, I'm still.
Yeah, no problem at all, sister. We got it. We got it. So if we don't have any more questions, comments, we'll go ahead and close out with prayer. Holy and merciful Father Yah, we come to you today, Yah, just thanking you humbly, Yah, for just allowing us, first and foremost, the breath of life to be here with one another, to come together, to just better learn how to image you, Yah, how to praise your name. We learned today not what to do, what not to do, rather, when it comes to praising you, Yah. So we thank you for that. We praise you for your law, Yah, that keeps us in line. When embraced, it just makes life that much better, Yah. And we thank you and we praise you for your law. We also ask you to please forgive us for the missteps we have taken against your law, because only against you can a man sin. So we do beg your forgiveness for transgressing your law, Yah. We petition you for continued discipline, continue just being able to teach and learn, also learn from each other, Yah. We thank you for that. And we ask you just a continued ability to do so. We ask intercessory prayer for our families, our Sinaitic families, our Adamic families, for our elders, Yah. We ask you to keep them safe. Anybody dealing with any issues, we ask that, Yah, if it be your will, to just restore them to their health, Yah. And once again, Yah, we just thank you for your being, for your justness, for your righteousness, Yah. And we ask you these prayers and petitions in the name of your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach ben Dawid, and in his name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Praise Yah.
Praise Yah.
Amen.